Hi everyone, my name is Simon Mishevich. We're going to be talking about capital gains tax when you sell residential property in the United Kingdom. So how much CGT do you pay? Well, I'm going to go through a number of questions that you have posed on YouTube or indeed on Google. So here are my answers. So first of all, what is capital gains tax on property in the UK? Well, simply put, capital gains tax is based on the gain. You are taxed on the gain you make, the profit. So if you imagine you have bought a house for £100,000 and then you sold it for £200,000 because the house price has increased, you have made £100,000 profit. And if that is a buy-to-let property, then that gain of £100,000 will be subject to capital gains tax. And we'll talk about the different rates that will be applied to you as a taxpayer in the United Kingdom. Now, second question, how much is capital gains tax in the UK on property? And the answer to that is there is an exemption every year for everyone for £3,000 per person. Now, if you're a couple, you can get two lots of £3,000, which means you have an annual exemption of £6,000. It's not a great deal, but it does certainly help. And anything in excess of that, you'll be subject to 18% as a basic rate taxpayer. And that is for anyone earning up to £50,270. Of course, capital gains tax is adding in all your other income. So once you go over 50,000, including your gain, then you become a higher rate taxpayer, and then you pay this new rate of 24% capital gains tax in the United Kingdom. Do I have to pay capital gains tax when I sell my house in the UK? And this is an interesting phraseology, house, because a house can be a home, or it could be a buy-to-let property or a furnished holiday let. What do people mean by that? And I'm going to assume that people are talking about your home. So if you have a home and you've always lived in that property, or you've always lived in that property, but you've moved out of the property and you have for a period of no more than 9 months, then you will be covered by something called private residency relief, which I've done lots of videos about that. Now, that means you will not pay capital gains tax on your home, provided you've always lived in that property or you've moved out and within 9 months you have sold that property. But if it's a buy-to-let property, then you will not be covered by any exemption. And in fact, you'll be subject to capital gains tax on any gain on selling a buy-to-let property, furnished holiday let, service accommodation, or HMO for that matter. How do I report CGT property sales? Now, HMRC are now saying that anyone making a profit on selling a residential property that is outside of the scope of your home, then you will have to report that to HMRC within 60 days. Basically, you have to make a profit. If you make a loss, you do not have to report it. There is an exemption. NR, what does NR stand for? Non-UK residents, so non-residents of the United Kingdom. They have to fill in a CGT report within 60 days of selling a residential property to HMRC. Within 60 days, even if they make a loss, they still have to do the report. Now, if you're a UK resident, don't worry, you do not have to report any losses you make on residential property, but you will need to report it on your self-assessment tax return if you have to file a self-assessment tax return. There is a cleanup process where if you make estimates on your 60-day reporting, because not everything is going to be known in terms of, well, how much tax do I pay? Do I pay 18% because I'm a basic rate taxpayer, or could I be moving to a high rate tax band, therefore I should be paying 24%? And you might have to make some estimates, and that is acceptable, because what will happen is when you file your UK self-assessment tax return to HMRC, you will do a reconciliation of what you should have paid versus what you did in terms of capital gains tax to HMRC within that 60-day reporting period.